Genesis revealed. The beginning of everything explained. Have you ever stopped to think about how it all began? The first book of the Bible, Genesis, is not only about the creation of the world, but about humanity's first steps, challenges, promises, and new beginnings. If you want to understand how everything connects, stay with me until the end of this video. You'll be amazed by the incredible stories and timeless lessons that this book reveals. This type of approach stimulates curiosity and encourages the viewer to keep watching. What do you think? The book of Genesis is the first in the Bible and establishes a foundation for the entire biblical narrative. It explains the origin of the world, humanity, sin, and God's plan for redemption. Its name means origin or beginning, and it is divided into two large parts. Chapters 1 to 11, which deal with creation and the first events of humanity, and chapters 12 to 50, which tell the story of the patriarchs of the people of Israel. In addition to telling the story of humanity since its creation, Genesis is also a book about promises and covenants made by God, showing his patience and unconditional love for his people, even in the face of human failures. The creation and fall of humanity, Genesis 1 to 3. The book begins by describing how God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. On the first day, he created light. On the second, he separated the waters and formed the sky. On the third, he formed the dry land and vegetation. On the fourth, he established the sun, moon, and stars. On the fifth, he created the sea creatures and birds. And on the sixth, he created the land animals and, finally, man and woman, in his image and likeness. God saw that everything was good and gave the first humans, Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden as their home. However, the initial harmony was broken when Eve, influenced by the serpent, disobeyed God and ate the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam also ate and thus entered the world. As a consequence, God expelled him from Eden, and humanity began to suffer with pain, hard work, and spiritual separation from God. In addition to the expulsion from Eden, Genesis also highlights the first consequences of sin, such as sibling rivalry. Cain, overcome by jealousy, killed Abel because God had accepted Abel's sacrifice but rejected Cain's. As punishment, Cain was cursed and condemned to wander the earth. This episode reinforces how sin affects human relationships and spreads throughout humanity. The first events of humanity, Genesis 4 to 11. After the story of Cain and Abel, the book presents the genealogy of Adam up to Noah, evidencing the growth of humanity and the worsening of sin. The corruption of humanity reached such a level that God decided to send a great flood to destroy everything on earth, saving only Noah, his family, and a pair of each species of animal inside the ark. After 40 days and 40 nights of rain, the waters covered the entire earth. When they finally receded, Noah and his family left the ark, and God established a new covenant with them, promising never to destroy the world with flood again. As a sign of this promise, God placed a rainbow in the sky. However, humanity continued to rebel against God. Noah's descendants tried to build a Tower of Babel to reach the heavens and become powerful. As punishment, God confused the languages of the builders, scattering them throughout the world and giving rise to different nations. This event reinforces God's sovereignty over humanity and the consequence of human arrogance. Did you like this summary of the book of Genesis? If this story makes sense to you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more summaries of the books of the Bible. Oh, and comment below, which part of Genesis struck you the most? Let's talk in the comments. Now, let's continue because this story just gets better. The call of Abraham and God's promise, Genesis 12 to 25. The story then turned to Abraham, initially called Abram, a man chosen by God to be the father of a great nation. God promised him and his wife, Sarah, that their descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky, and that through them all nations would be blessed. However, Sarah was barren, and so she gave her servant Hagar to Abraham so that she could have a son. From this union, Ishmael was born, but God reaffirmed that the promise would be fulfilled through a son of Sarah. Even at an advanced age, she gave birth to Isaac, the son of promise. God tested Abraham's faith by asking him to sacrifice Isaac. Abraham obeyed, but at the last moment, an angel intervened and provided a ram for the sacrifice. This episode demonstrated Abraham's unwavering faith and God's faithfulness to his promises. Isaac, Jacob, and the formation of the people of Israel, Genesis 26 to 36. Isaac grew up and married Rebekah, with whom he had twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was the firstborn, but Jacob, with the help of his mother, deceived his elderly father and received the blessing of the birthright. Fleeing Esau's wrath, Jacob went to home of his uncle Laban, where he worked for many years to marry Rachel, his beloved, and Leah, her older sister. On the way home, Jacob had an encounter with God and wrestled with an angel during the night. As a result, he was given a new name, Israel, which means he who wrestles with God. Jacob's sons became the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel, central to the biblical story. Jacob had 12 sons, and his descendants would become God's chosen people. Among his sons, Joseph stood out for being his father's favorite, which aroused envy among his brothers. Joseph in Egypt and the arrival of the family of Israel, Genesis 37-50. Joseph was sold as a slave by his brothers and taken to Egypt, where he faced many hardships. However, his ability to interpret dreams caught the attention of the Pharaoh, and he ended up becoming governor of Egypt after predicting a great famine. When the famine struck Canaan, his brothers went to Egypt to seek food, not knowing that Joseph was the ruler who would help them. After several tests, he revealed his identity and forgave them. Jacob's entire family was taken to Egypt, where the Hebrews prospered. Before he died, Jacob blessed his sons, prophesying the future of their tribes. Joseph also died, but he made his brothers promise that in the future they would take his bones back to the promised land. Conclusion: the book of Genesis lays a foundation for the entire biblical narrative, showing God's sovereignty, his faithfulness to his promises, and his plan for the redemption of humanity. It explains how sin entered the world, how God chose a people for himself, and how he guides history to fulfill his purposes. Genesis not only tells stories, but teaches lessons about faith, perseverance, obedience, and redemption. It paves the way for the story of Moses and the Exodus, as well as laying the foundation for all biblical revelation up until Christ. So, did you like the summary of the book of Genesis? If this content helped you better understand the story of creation and the patriarchs, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Want to learn more about the other books of the Bible? Then check out the recommended videos here on the screen and continue this journey. See you in the next video. May God bless you.